Every day, we navigate hundreds of choices by relying on a familiar, built-in system, our own memory and personal preference. It is how we intuitively decide what route to take to work or which coffee shop to visit. But when you apply that same gut-feeling logic to a high-stakes e-commerce environment, things break down. Sourcing products across global supply chains based on who you remember being reliable leads to wildly inconsistent purchasing decisions. Picture a typical supplier review. A buyer sits across the table and brings up a vague concern, saying something like, "It feels like your shipments have been running late recently." Without exact numbers to back up that feeling, the conversation stalls. The supplier instinctively pushes back, citing a few recent on-time deliveries, and suddenly you are locked in a defensive argument over whose memory is right. Subjective judgment produces adversarial business environments where problems go unresolved. Transitioning to constructive solutions requires an entirely new framework centered on factual evidence. That framework is the Structured Vendor Scorecard. It is a systematic tool built specifically to remove guesswork from your purchasing operations. Instead of scoring a supplier on how much you like working with them, this scorecard evaluates them strictly through measurable performance indicators. The first cluster of data focuses on core operations. You track their delivery reliability, the exact quality of the product arriving at the dock, and their communication speed when you reach out. From there, you layer in the metrics that expose consistency. By charting aggregate defect rates alongside long-term pricing stability, you can see the true cost of their production. Finally, you measure how they perform under pressure. Tracking their flexibility and responsiveness during unexpected supply chain disruptions reveals how they handle the inevitable crises. Measuring these points over time builds a comprehensive profile of a supplier's total value. This data identifies the specific operational savings provided by a reliable partner, which often offsets a slightly higher unit price. Back at the negotiation table, the introduction of a vendor scorecard changes the power dynamic in the room. You aren't lobbing vague complaints about late shipments anymore. Instead, you are placing a document on the table that clearly shows exactly a 15% drop in on-time deliveries over the last 2 months. Strangely enough, suppliers actually appreciate this. Transparent data removes the need for defensive guesswork and clarifies operational expectations for both parties simultaneously. Because you are both looking at the same facts, the focus shifts. Objective data allows both parties to approach the negotiation as a collaborative partnership aimed at solving specific problems. Excellent supplier relationships depend on a foundation of strict accountability and a commitment to continuous improvement. Build that foundation by keeping the math simple. Construct your first scorecard using 5 to 7 measurable criteria. Then, set a strict operational timeline. Track and compare these dials on a quarterly basis, establishing a regular rhythm of review. Use this ongoing data to actively reward the partners who demonstrate consistent improvement quarter over quarter, granting them larger order volumes or better contract terms. And when the numbers dip, use the scorecard to support those suppliers who show a genuine willingness to course correct and fix their identified weaknesses. By measuring performance consistently, you remove the emotion and memory biases from your sourcing strategy. You secure highly reliable, long-term operations without ever having to negotiate off a gut feeling again.